Today, I want to help you understand your social media analytics and insights to make better decisions. If you make decisions in your strategy, they should always be driven by data or at least supported by data. But how can we make data-driven decisions in this crazy fast world where content is being shared every second of the day? And I understand that it can be very challenging to really understand your post and your post performance and really understanding what posts and what content even resonates with my audience. But this is the point where you have to look into your social media analytics. First of all, you have to understand, why are social media metrics important and why should you care about them? And when it comes to social media analytics, you want to first understand, why do you even need to track them? What are social media analytics? What key metrics should you track? What are the best practices for leveraging analytics to improve your social media strategy? So first things first, what are social media analytics? Every social network, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, will always provide you access to analytics. And the analytics track pretty much everything. They track tons of data, interactions, reach, demographic, and a lot of really valuable insights that you can use to really understand what content resonates with my audience. Whether you're using social media analytic tools, so these are like paid tools. So for instance, if you're using Hootsuite or Later or any paid tool, or whether you decide to create an Excel document, just do it all manually because you want to save some money. But ultimately, regardless if you do it manually or you're choosing to opt in for one of those paid media tools, they can track likes, comments, click-through rate. They can track whether you're gaining or losing followers. And those analytics and those metrics will really help you to evaluate the effectiveness of your social media content. But what is really the importance of social media analytics? Social media analytics go beyond just tracking your comments, your follower growth, and your click-through rate. Social media analytics provide valuable insights to really understand your consumer behavior. What preference do they have? What posts are they resonating to? Where are they coming from? Where they're located at? What is their age range? So social media analytics will give you a lot more than just the surface overview of what post is performing well. And because you are getting insights on customer behavior, their preferences, their demographics, it really helps you to tailor your marketing strategy. Because by analyzing your demographic data, engagement patterns, and content performance, you can really identify opportunity of growth. So you can hone in and optimize your social media campaigns so you get the best return on investment on anything and everything you put out there. And when it comes to social media analytics, it can be quite overwhelming. It tracks a lot of items, it tracks everything and anything. But not every metric might be applicable to you. But especially if you're new, especially if you're a beginner, and this is the first time you're really diving into analytics, it can be quite overwhelming when you see all these abbreviations and metrics that are being tracked. So what are the key metrics that are really important, especially as a beginner, that will give you a quick understanding of, is my social media campaign working? Are my social media posts resonating with my audience? Am I putting out the right content? I recommend tracking a handful of key metrics that will really give you a quick understanding of your performance online. I rank them from the most important to the, I want to say, air quotation mark, least important. Number one, reach and impression. In today's digital world, reach is one of the most important metrics to track. And just to break it down, reach refers to the total number of unique visitors who have seen your posts. So let me repeat that. Reach is a unique number of people who saw your post, whereas impression represents the total number of times your content have been displayed. So an impression could be me seeing your post 3 times. So that would be 3 impressions. Impressions is not a unique number, whereas reach is a unique number. So that's the difference between those two metrics. But why do I say reach and impressions are the most important metrics to track? Back in the days, people were under the impression that followers are everything. The more followers you have, the better of an influencer you are, the better of a creator you are, the more prestige you have as a brand. But that's all bullshit, because followers is just an arbitrary number. What you really need to focus on is your reach, because followers is just I might give you a follow, but I'll never engage with your post. I might never even see your post. But when we talk about reach, reach is a metric that allows you to understand the visibility of your post, that gives you an understanding of how big is your audience really. Also, keep in mind, nowadays, there's so many social media posts out there, so many creators are pushing out content, and your potential customer might not follow all of them. They might not give you a follow, although they engage with your content. So while you might think followers would be a more important metric to track, it's not. So I want you to get away from the mindset that followers is the number one metric to track, and I want that you change your mindset. I want that you shift it towards understanding that reach is the ultimate metric to track, should be your number one metric to track. It should be something that you aim for in your marketing strategy, increasing your reach. Because when you think about all the posts that you're posting, if we think about reels or we think about short form content is designed to reach a lot of people, whether they're following you or not, especially on Instagram and TikTok. When you think about stories only reaches your audience. In-feed posts, they pretty much only reaches your audience unless you put money behind it and you're boosting that post. But Reels, short form content, that is the real golden opportunity that can still help you reach a larger audience of people that are not following you. And they might see a video thinking, hey, this is the product I need. This is a great product. Going to a website, maybe subscribing to your newsletter. That doesn't mean that they necessarily give you a follow, but they still engage with your content and leave a comment or save that post. So ultimately, reach is the number one metric to track because it gives you a true understanding of how many people see your post and what is the true visibility of your post. And I already mentioned it, people giving you a comment. So the second most important metric to track is your engagement. So engagement that you can track are likes, comments, shares, mentions. All of these are indicators of how your audience is interacting with your content. And as you know, high levels of engagement signals that your content is resonating with your audience. Metric number 3 to track are your followers. And just to touch base on what I mentioned earlier, the number of followers is really just a vanity metric. But analyzing your follower growth over time can still be an indicator on how effective is your content and your engagement strategies in attracting new followers and expanding your audience. Number 4, click-through rate, or short CTR. CTR measures the percentage of users that click on a link or a call to action within your social media post and then either going to your website, downloading a freebie, or wherever you want to point that link toward. But a high click-through rate will indicate that either your content is highly relevant or that you have a great call to action in place that's really compelling for people to click on to and then go to your destination link. Metric number 5, conversion rates. Conversion rate track the percentage of users who completed a desired action. And a desired action could be making a purchase, signing up for a newsletter, filling out a contact form, booking a free consultation after they interacted with your social media content. And if you track conversion rates, it really allows you to measure the effectiveness of your social media campaigns in driving the desired outcome. So the website download or the opt-in for a webinar. I put conversion rate at the bottom as the least important metric to track because you might not focus on driving people to your website. So if it's not your goal to drive people to your website, to get a newsletter sign up or someone to opt in for your webinar or to get a free consultation, then it doesn't really apply to you. Now that you know what to track, how do you do it? In order to track something online or in order to understand whether something is working online or not, you need to start by setting a goal. And it's always easier to start at the back. So starting with a goal and then going backwards. So let's say first you need to define a goal, a measurable goal, something that's realistic. So whether it's increasing your brand awareness, driving traffic to your website, or generating more leads. So that would be your goal. Let's say generating leads or driving website traffic. What social media metric do you need to track in order to understand whether your objective is working? So when we have driving traffic to your website or generating leads, we can look at your click-through rate, we can look at your conversion rates. Those will indicate whether your social media posts are working. If you want to increase brand awareness, if you want to gain more followers, then you should look at reach, because we need to focus on reach. We need to reach more people in order to increase your brand awareness, for more people to get to know your brand, and also to potentially get more followers. But you always need to start with a goal, because otherwise you will be getting lost in what you need to track and what you need to do to reach that goal. So now that you define a goal, you know what metrics to track. Now the first thing would be really analyzing data and trends. You need to regularly look into your social media analytics. You need to regularly track them to really understand your data, to identify trends, to identify patterns, and make the connections to really understand what's working and what's not working. Look for the metrics that really give you an understanding whether your content is resonating with your online audience or not. When it comes to analytics, it's not something that you can just set and forget, but you have to repeatedly look at your metrics, whether it's daily, weekly, or at least monthly. Although I think monthly, especially at the beginning, if you want to make quick decisions, might be too long of a period. So I recommend looking at least weekly, because looking at your analytics weekly can really help you to make data-driven decisions. But any decision that you're making, whether it's in your organic marketing, in your paid media, everything should be driven by data. So you should make data-driven decisions. I understand, and I'm the same way. Sometimes I just shoot straight from the hip, based on my experience, based on my just natural spider senses that I have because of all the campaigns and all the content I produced in the past. But it's always good not just to rely on your spider senses, but also to look at the data. And then data is the ultimate factor that tells you whether you should change your strategy, adjust your strategy, or whether it's working perfectly fine. But looking at the data and looking at the analytics and having a close finger on the pulse can help you to understand whether you need to adjust your content, to bring new creatives into the mix, refine your targeting, or even reallocating advertising budget if you're running paid media ads. But really let data be your guide to making informed decisions to drive business results. To make the most out of your social media analytics, consider the following best practices. Regularly monitoring and reporting. Schedule regular check-ins to take a look at your social media data and to evaluate their performance. Ideally, you want to create a customized report that you can share with other team members, that you can share with shareholders, to really keep them informed on the progress that you're making towards the goal. Also, you want to compare data over time. You want to compare your current data with historical data to really identify trends and patterns. Look for changes in your metrics, whether it's changes in your click-through rate, your engagement rate, your follower goals, and really try to pinpoint and understand what changed between, let's say, a few months ago until now. So looking at historical data, comparing it will really help you to understand what worked in the past or what didn't work and it's working now. And then you can pinpoint what is working. You want to benchmark against competitors. You want to compare your social media performance metrics to those of your competitors to gain insights into your performance and to identify areas of improvement. So you want to analyze your competitor strategies. You want to understand what content are they putting out, what content tactics are they using, how much engagement are they getting on their post to really make an informed decision about your post. Of course, there are some competitor metrics where you will not have access to, such as their click-through rate or their conversion rates, but there's a lot of public data available. You can see their followers, you can see their follower growth. If you track it somewhere, you can get an idea of how many shares or comments or likes they're getting on a post, how many views they're getting on a post. You just have to really dive in and understand patterns. What is your competition doing? What are they putting out there? And then comparing it with your own. And this also led us yet again to another episode of the Content Marketing Chi Chi podcast. I'm so glad you tuned in today. I cannot wait to see you next week. And don't forget, the world is your oyster, but everything is disgusting. Until then, goodbye, or how we say in Germany, auf Wiedersehen.